So now you know what goes into an ADSAC assessment, but what are the possible results? What will you be required to complete and how much will it cost? The first thing to know is there's 5 different levels of services that could be required from an ADSAC assessment. Each of these levels of services is informed by criteria set by the American Society of Addiction Medicine, or ASAM for short. So let's start at level 1. Level 1 requires the completion of a 10-hour ADSAC course and a victim's impact panel. These 2 courses may be completed concurrently or at the same time. The 10-hour ADSAC course costs $150 and the victim's impact panel costs $75. This means the total cost is $225. The price of these courses is determined by the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, or ODMH-SAS, or commonly referred to ODMH for short. This means these courses will cost the same amount no matter where you take them. Level 2 requires the completion of a 24-hour ADSAC course and a victim's impact panel. Again, these 2 courses may be completed at the same time. The cost of the 24-hour ADSAC course is $360, and the cost of the victim's impact panel is still $75, for a total of $435. Again, these prices are set by ODMH, so they will cost the same no matter where you take them. Level 3 requires the completion of a 24-hour ADSAC course, a victim's impact panel, and weekly attendance in a 6-week substance use group. The ADSAC course must be completed before attending a substance use group. The cost of the substance use group varies depending on the agency or organization conducting the groups and possibly your insurance coverage. So the 24-hour ADSAC course costs $360 and the victim's impact panel costs $75 for a total of $435, but you could be required to pay more depending on the cost of the substance use groups. It is also possible that you score a level 4 on your assessment and have it lowered to level 3 by your assessor. However, if this happens, the requirements are a little different. In this case, you're required to attend weekly substance use groups for 12 weeks, as well as mutual support groups for 12 weeks. These 2 groups may be completed at the same time. Mutual support groups are groups run by people who have had problems with addiction in the past or currently. Examples of mutual support groups include Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and Celebrate Recovery, but there are more as well. The cost of these groups will vary depending on where you take your groups and your insurance coverage. Mutual support groups commonly have no cost associated with them. Groups such as Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and Celebrate Recovery do not charge for their meetings. So the cost at this level can vary widely depending on where you complete your groups. Level 4 treatment requires intensive outpatient treatment as well as 12 weeks of mutual support meetings. Intensive outpatient means any clinical level of treatment for substance use that offers 9 or more hours of treatment per week. Most insurance do not pay for more than 1 to 2 hours of treatment per week, so most of the cost will be on you, the consumer. This means intensive outpatient can be pricey. There is not a set length for intensive outpatient. The length of the program is determined by the provider running the intensive outpatient program. However, the program cannot exceed 90 days for the purpose of the ADSAC assessment. Once you've completed the intensive outpatient program, any follow-up recommendations, and 12 weeks of mutual support meetings, you've completed this level of services. Most intensive outpatient programs offer mutual support meetings, but many intensive outpatient programs are shorter than 12 weeks. If your program is shorter than 12 weeks, you must complete the remaining weeks of mutual support meetings to complete this level. The final level, level 5, requires residential or inpatient treatment services, whatever aftercare is recommended by your treatment provider, and 12 weeks of mutual support meetings. Residential treatment can be very pricey, but there are more insurance providers that are willing to pay for residential treatment. Most residential treatment will include mutual support meetings, but like intensive outpatient, your program might be shorter than 12 weeks. If your program is shorter than 12 weeks, you still must complete the remaining weeks of mutual support meetings. So this level requires you to complete residential treatment, whatever recommendations made by your treatment provider, and 12 weeks of mutual support meetings. The length of this treatment cannot exceed 90 days. The costs associated with this treatment will vary widely depending on your insurance coverage and which residential program you choose. There are a few other things that are important to note. An ADSAC assessor may lower your treatment recommendations by one level if they deem it appropriate. This is at the discretion of your ADSAC assessor. If they do so, they'll use information from your biopsychosocial and other assessment tools to make this determination. An ADSAC assessor may not lower your level of treatment services by more than one level, and there are some exceptions where they may not lower them at all. An ADSAC assessor cannot raise your level of treatment services for any reason. You may also be able to complete your treatment recommendations on an individual basis rather than group basis if deemed appropriate. The level and intensity of services remains the same, but they do not have to be completed in a group. It is important to note that this may affect the cost of your treatment. In a group, the cost is commonly assumed by the members of the group, but in individual services, only one person assumes the cost. This can vary depending on the treatment services offered, the treatment provider, and your insurance coverage, as well as other factors. It is also important to note that if you have completed the recommended level of treatment and or a higher level of treatment between the offense that resulted in your license revocation and current day, and have had no new alcohol, drug, or driving offenses, that treatment can count for your ADSAC assessment. You do not have to repeat these services, but you do have to provide documentation of treatment completion. I hope this has shed some light on the different levels of treatment services that could be recommended by the ADSAC assessment. If you have any questions or would like to know more, please feel free to contact us. You can find our contact info on our contact page or on our footer below. Thank you very much.